Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the CD guy, Johnny Z here. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Pink Floyd 2018 remix of Animals, released today on September 16th, 2022. Finally, this remix is being released here after a long time. Of course, it's the 2018 remix, just now being released in full in 2022. For a while there was some discrepancy between Roger Waters and David Gilmour over the liner notes. David Gilmour did not want to sign off on them, and, it wouldn't be a proper Pink Floyd release without an argument between Gilmour and Roger Waters. It's kind of like a sport between those two at this point, so nothing too surprising there. But finally, this album is being reissued, and, with a remaster, a reissue, a re-release, anything like that, there's always a gamble that comes with it, because essentially what you're doing is taking a classic record and you're tampering with it. You're taking a masterpiece, which is what I think Animals is. I know a lot of people would agree with that, and you're changing something about it here. So it was very much a gamble for the band to do so, and I know a lot of bands are doing more and more reissues over the years now. It's becoming the popular thing to do, and it's definitely a moneymaker for these bands, especially these older bands who are done putting out records. They reissue some of their classic albums, make it a deluxe edition, a box set, things like that, with bigger and better sound. And so Pink Floyd here, with the reissue of Animals, definitely polarizing amongst the community. I see a lot of people who are very much in favor of this remix. They enjoy it. Then people who are against it as well. So I definitely wanted to briefly share my opinion here on the remix. So that said, let's dive into the album. But before we go any further, let's just refresh everybody's memory on the original Animals, released in 1977. Personnel on this record include David Gilmour, Roger Waters, Nick Mason, and Richard Wright. The classic Pink Floyd lineup here, and this album is a prog rock masterpiece. So that said, let's get into the remix. Again, 2018, finally being reissued today in 2020. For one thing about this remix, I think the vocals are a lot cleaner and crisper here, so it's definitely cool to be able to hear David Gilmour and Roger Waters with more clarity on this album. And again, when it comes to a remix versus an original here, I think a lot of people might prefer the original because they like the more rugged, aggressive sounding, less polished sounding record. But when it comes to these remixes, it's always very cool to hear which elements of the sound that they chose to polish more and spend a little bit more attention on making it sound crisper. And the vocals here was very interesting, how prominent they sounded, how much more clarity they had here than on the original. So that was very cool. I think the bass on Pigs is incredible, and really the bass on the entire album, it really does stand out to me. What it really does put into perspective here is how little things can be magnified so much more with a good remix, and how it can kind of bring to light certain Easter eggs that were buried within the album that might not have, caught my attention or my ear on the first listen of the original. But, now with this remix here, I'm able to hear more prominently, and that's kind of brought to light with the bass on Pigs, which I just think sounds incredible again. Probably my favorite part of the entire album. Best song and the best moment does have to be the enhanced bass on the Pigs track. I really enjoy it. One thing that I'm not wild about, however, is the drums throughout the entire record as well. There's a lost feeling of grit and intensity that was on the original that's not there on this remix, and, one thing that I really don't like about the drums is the snare sound, which just sounds a bit out of place on the Animals mix, in my opinion here. Doesn't sound bad, and I can look past it, but just not one of my favorite aspects of the album or the new remix of Animals. But again, I can look past it. Just a quick nitpick that I had. And if we go back to the original versus remix debate here, again, a lot of people will probably prefer the original sound, untampered with. But, if you're a fan of what Pink Floyd does, and especially if you're a fan of Animals, and you want to hear this album being brought to life in a different way, in a new generation here, being enhanced, I think being given new life, in my opinion, then this album is definitely for you. Now, I'm somebody who definitely does not pick up a record without listening to it first. And when it comes to, remixes and remasters, I really don't go for those. I don't buy a lot of reissues unless it's something that really does catch my eye or my ear, which, one example of that would be the Kiss Destroyer box set behind me. That one was really cool. I couldn't pass up on that. So, again, if you're a fan of what Pink Floyd does and you're a fan of Animals, I definitely would recommend this album here. You get to hear the album from a different perspective, I think, with enhanced vocals, with enhanced bass as well. So it definitely does bring to light a different kind of sound on Animals here, which I thought was very cool and very intriguing as well when I first listened to it. And if you are not buying it on CD or vinyl, I definitely would recommend listening to it with headphones in, because it will only magnify your listening experience here, and it makes it easier to hear certain things that, again, those Easter eggs that are being featured more prominently in the mix here, I think is easier to detect when you have headphones in. So I definitely would recommend doing that if you don't plan on buying it. So is this remix better than the original Animals mix here? This is something that's going to be up for debate amongst a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to decide with the original, and a lot of people will side with the remix here. Again, the remix definitely gives this album much more bombastic, cleaner, crisper kind of a sound here, which is very cool, and again, definitely does open up a new perspective to the entire album as far as I'm concerned. But it's so hard to top the original, right? Of course, you have the original, it's been out for so many years, and, to have that mix changed or altered in any way is definitely going to be an adjustment for a lot of people. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and say that the original is still better than the remix here. But as far as the remix goes, I would have to give it 4 out of 5 stars. Excellent work. Aside from the little drum nitpick that I had, I think the album sounds incredible and has definitely been given new life. But you can't mess with the original and come out with a product that's even better, in my opinion here. Even better than Animals. It's almost impossible. Animals is a perfect album from top to bottom. One of Pink Floyd's best. So again, while the remix is fantastic, I don't think it's better than the original here. And that's a gamble that a lot of bands take when it comes to remixing their classic records, is you're taking these masterpieces, these perfect albums, and you're tampering with them. And the results can be great, or they can be subpar. And thankfully, in Pink Floyd's case here, I think the results were a really interesting remix with some great sound on here that really does pop throughout the entire record and definitely did catch my attention. So I did want to share my brief thoughts here. But again, I think it's very hard to top the original, and, this remix, while being fantastic and definitely being a great listening experience, just doesn't top it for me. So that wraps up my review of the new Pink Floyd remix of Animals here. Again, it was recorded in 2018, but finally being reissued today in 2020. So I did just want to share my thoughts on the new remix. If you enjoyed this video, or if you agree with me, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel down below. Turn on the bell for notifications to be notified of a new upload. And let me know down in the comments below, what are your thoughts on the new Pink Floyd Animals remix? Did you enjoy it? And did you agree with me? Did you disagree with me? Let me know your opinions down in the comments below. I'd be very interested in hearing what you have to say. So let me know all that good stuff down there. And until next time, it's the CD guy, Johnny Z, signing off. Take care, everybody.